My name's Giuseppe Dichiera. I'm sitting in front of the family's 1954 Holden FJ utility. Both my grandfather and my father born in Italy, but my grandfather migrated first, and he'd only been living in South Australia for 3 or 4 years before he started to work at the Woodville factory. And he found a job for my father, who worked also in the factory for 2 or 3 years. Grandfather worked in the wet rub section, which I think was pre-painting of the FJ production line. He worked there at a time that he was able to buy this car new from the factory. We have some stories about my eldest brother and my second eldest brother playing in the back of the ute. I suppose it was like a modern day crib that you could put the kids in. We've got photos when we pulled it out of the shed that had been stored for 30 odd years. You know, I was sad for the car because it was sort of squeezed in this old little shed. My father and my uncle planted an olive tree in front of the tilt door of the shed. When we went to pull the car out, that olive tree had grown so big that the garage door wouldn't open for us to get it out. So there was more arguments and debate about removing that olive tree than about actually getting the car out of the shed. The idea of restoring the FJ was something that I was pretty passionate about. I didn't need much to convince my brothers and mum to do it. We knew that we needed to do it while my dad was alive because it was actually done as a surprise to my father. He didn't know that we were restoring the car. Funnily enough, he paid for half, or if not most of the restoration without him knowing, but we all chipped in and then surprised him on Christmas Day. Just seeing his first expressions, he was taken back. And then I think a big part of him knew that the reasons we did it weren't actually just for him, it was also just because we want to keep talking about it and talking about grandfather and dad. Driving it around Adelaide, you get a lot of smiles and a lot of people tooting their horns and a lot of people waving. Driving it, being in it, smelling it, running. It does bring you back to what I think would be a very different time of the 50s. It's just so different from a modern vehicle. So different. It's smaller, it's slower, it's more mechanical. It's an emotional thing for me. You know, I have at times just come down into the garage and sat in the car. Not knowing my grandfather, it connects me. Knowing my father the way my brothers and I, we all did, very, very special, so it connects me to him. It's a little wonderful thing that we've got something that was built in a factory in South Australia, built at the Woodville factory, which is close to where my grandfather and my father have been buried at the cemetery. Yeah, it's very special.